In our last episode of the lore of Diablo Immortal, we talked about the Dark Exile, but today we're talking about the events of Diablo 1. What is up, my friends? My name is Echo, and today we're back with another episode 4 of the Diablo Immortal lore series. I have Nein with me today, and we're going to be diving deeper, filling you in on the story, so that when you are ready to play, when we're all ready to play Diablo Immortal, we know a little bit more about what's going on. Nein, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good as always. How about yourself, sir?
I am also doing good as always, looking forward to finding out the happenings of Diablo 1. Anything you want to say before we hop into it?
No, I'm ready to go.
All right, well then I will just remind everyone to make sure you subscribe, because we're going to have daily Diablo Immortal content once the game goes live. Also, all of Nein's links are in the description of this video. And guys, Mondays we come out with these lore videos, so if you're into them, make sure you come back for more. Leave your questions in the comments section, because they can always be featured in an upcoming episode. So now I'm handing it over to Nein, and he's going to start telling the story.
All right, as we talked about in the last episode, we kind of left off where the three greater evils had all been captured, put in soul stones, and more or less forgotten. But of course, evil never is forgotten. Takes about 250 years later, but Mephisto, being the eldest and the strongest of the three greater evils, actually eventually gets to have his essence creep out of the soul stone. And the Zakarum that were supposed to be guarding him are now actually start working for him as he goes through and corrupts their minds, fills them with visions of hatred, and starts taking them over. He eventually gets one of the high priests to go through and plunge the soul stone into himself and becoming the physical embodiment of Mephisto. Now, with Mephisto being free from his soul stone, he begins his search for his brothers. And with one of his first acts that he does is he finds this nice, great, upstanding lord in the priesthood of the Zakarum, known as Leoric, and sends him over to the eastern continent to establish a new kingdom, over there to kind of be beside Westmarch, which is a breakaway region from the original Zakarum. Mm-hmm. And when he goes through to go over to this land, Conduras, Mephisto sends another priest, Lazarus, with him. That is actually fully aware of everything that's going on. Lazarus is a devout follower of Mephisto and has this secret mission to go through and free Diablo. They have to go and find him. As they're traveling through Conduras, trying to go through and establish the seat of power, Lazarus kind of senses the Diablo's presence in that little town called Tristram and convinces Leoric that this is where we should start our kingdom here. And so Leoric goes through, takes over the sleepy little town of Tristram, moves into this grand abandoned cathedral that everyone's kind of forgotten the history of, and he now reigns over this land of Conduras, while Lazarus begins poking around, digging deep into the catacombs underneath the cathedral and looking for Diablo's soulstone. It takes a couple of years, but Lazarus is eventually successful in finding the soul stone and performing a ritual that frees Diablo's essence from it. But after being, buried away from any type of human contact, Diablo is in a very weakened state, and Leoric, being a devout person, is very strong of soul. So when Diablo attempts to go and possess Leoric, he's unsuccessful. But many years go by, and Diablo's constant pressure eats away at Leoric's sanity. He eventually becomes known as the Black King or the Mad King. As he goes through and has these relentless witch hunts, he turns from a very kindly king into a very evil king. There's all these bloodshed. He sees traitors everywhere. He has people hung up for even just the most small of little crimes or anything along those lines. And eventually he now starts seeing the neighboring countries as coveting his kingdom, and he goes to war with them, particularly a very big failed war versus the country of Westmarch. He sends off all of his armies to go and basically get slaughtered by a much more powerful kingdom. He also sends away his oldest son, Aiden, to kind of lead those forces, while he's kind of sitting back in Tristram thinking that everyone's trying to kill him. This entire time, Lazarus is still looking for someone that would be suitable to act as a physical vessel for Diablo's soul, eventually settling upon Leoric's youngest son, Albrecht. He then, kidnaps him, takes him down to the catacombs, and begins to perform the ritual, so that way he can actually implant Diablo into Albric and give him free reign, upon the mortal world. Some of the forces begin to start coming back, from Westmarch, and the leader of his personal guard, Lochdanen, comes back to see like Tristram is under martial law. Everyone is just being killed, and the whole area is just being ransacked by their own forces. Lochdanen just can't take any more of this and says something has to be done, and ends up slaying Leoric. But with his last breath, Leoric curses everybody, and they all kind of fall under this evil malaise as the undead start to appear. Demons now start to manifest themselves, and everything just generally gets, goes from bad to worse in the little sleepy town of Tristram. This is where the events of Diablo 1 begin, where some heroes go through and hear of all of these dark horrors that are going and taking place, alongside tales of riches that exist, within Leoric's former kingdom in the cathedral. One of these, adventures is actually his son Aiden that comes back, but he's on a quest that he has to try and find out what happened to his father and what happened to his younger brother. And of course, it's a very, very sad tale as Aiden is met with the now reanimated corpse of his father, Leoric, which is now known as the Skeleton King, having to go and put down that evil once again. And as he goes through the cathedral, he begins to find that the area is being warped. Just through Diablo's presence, it's now becoming like an extension of hell. But as he fights through all these dark passages, he eventually finds his way, all the way down to the bottom. He confronts the priest Lazarus and slays him, but Lazarus has actually already completed the ritual and has bound Diablo's soul into Albric. And without any other choice, in order to stop this evil from being able to consume all the rest of the lands, Aiden has to kill his little brother, which is now taken the form of Diablo. It's a grueling fight. Diablo just isn't. He's always represented in the games as this massive like physical force, but he also affects the mind. He's the Lord of Terror. He goes through and sends all these visions of darkness, all these nightmares to go through and assault Aiden. And on the verge of losing his sanity, he's finally able to go and kill Diablo. But then when Diablo is defeated, his form reverts back to his younger brother, and that's the last straw. And Aiden finally snaps. Taking that soul stone that was implanted into Albric's forehead, he now thinks that the only right course of action is to take that and implant it into his own. As kind of like, well, I can hold in the soul of Diablo, which, that's just not something that any mortal man would be capable of doing. Now with the soul stone implanted in his head, he goes looking for his other brother, but not his, Diablo's brother, Baal. And we now we'll go and move on to the story of Diablo II, which I think we'll probably save for the next episode.
Okay, that sounds like a good idea. So a little bit more depth there, and I can't imagine. I mean, obviously this is all story, but having to at least feel like you're taking down your brother for the greater good, that's got to be brutal to do. And I did not know that Diablo had that ability to possess the mind, I guess, with terror. So that was some nice information that you filled in there.
Mm-hmm. It's something that never really gets shown in the games too much. They tried to do a little bit of it in Diablo 3. I'm wondering if we'll see any little vestiges of it in Diablo Immortal. Diablo during that time is kind of dead in between the Diablo 2 and Diablo 3. But they wouldn't really be calling it Diablo Immortal. They wouldn't be using the name Diablo if he wasn't gonna show up in some form.
I think he's going to have to. I mean, this is a Diablo game after all, right?
Right.
Exactly. Well, listen, I think you did a great job. And for everyone that's wondering why we're doing shorter episodes versus the longer episodes, just we feel like you guys are enjoying the shorter ones more, or at least the larger audience is. It may take us a few extra episodes to get where we're going, but we will get there, so make sure you tune in. And like I said before, if there's any questions that you have about the story that was just told, or if you want some smaller gaps filled in, leave your questions down below, or you can always come through my Discord server where Nein is hanging out and answering any of your lore questions as well. We have a nice little Diablo section, which is just going to be expanding as the game gets closer and closer to release. And as we all fill it up, you guys have been awesome in there, so thank you so much for becoming part of that community. But Nein, why don't you talk a little bit about what you do, where people could find you, and again, everything that he mentions right now, guys, is in the description, so make sure you give him some love and check it out.
Oh yeah, you know, I'm a lover of all things Diablo. My main focus of passion is Diablo lore. You can find me on Twitter. I'm at 9ballgamer, and that's 9 as in the German 9ballgamer. You know, I stream from time to time over at twitch.tv/9ball. You can also find my podcast Westmarch Workshop over at bluespro.com. You can also, I write occasionally for DiabloFans.com over there as well. If you look around the Diablo community, you could probably find something that I've had my hands on. And like Echo was saying, you know, I'm in his Discord. We have a specific channel for Diablo lore. If you've got any questions, want me to elaborate on anything, feel free. I'll happily go through and answer any questions. I love talking about lore.
Yeah, and that's why you're here with me on this. And not only may he answer it in the Discord server or in the comments, but it could be featured in an upcoming video. So that would be pretty cool too, if you guys can get in there. But Nein, thanks again, man. I appreciate you and your storytelling.
Yeah, thank you again for having me on.
No problem. So guys, let me know if you enjoyed this. Also remember, all the places where you can find both me and Nein are linked down below. I'm going to put right over here the entire series, and right over here the last episode, so make sure you come through. Remember, have a great day and be good.